Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com. This is a chart. It's the full moon, but it's a total lunar eclipse, 16th of May, set for London at 5:14 BST. Now I'm using Placidus house system, and here you can see this is the 12th house, and it's very busy. Jupiter, Chiron, Venus, Uranus, North Node, and the Sun. And here opposite, here's the moon in Scorpio at 25 degrees, and it's the South Node. Now the South Node is very much about letting go. It's the past, it's the dragon, and it's the letting go of stuff that we no longer need, clearing away. That's important. It's called the blood red moon because that's what the moon can look like at a lunar eclipse, more than likely. But here in the UK, I doubt if we've seen it. It was cloudy, and also the moon is below the horizon. There it is, the moon is there. The most prominent feature of this lunar eclipse is Saturn. Here's Saturn in Aquarius, right there above the horizon, and 24 Aquarius. The sun's at 25, so is the moon 25, so that's very close. And Saturn is known as Lord of Karma, so very significant if you have planets in Taurus, where the sun is, of course, Scorpio, and of course Aquarius. And I'm going to also notice Leo, because Leo is opposite the sign of Aquarius, so that's also very important for you if you are a Leo or have major planets in Leo. Now the blue energy is a flow of energy. It's very positive, and Jupiter is really flowing at the moment. It's just moved into the sign of Aries, a fire sign. Initiative, drive, going for it. Think of all those things associated with Mars. But Mars is still, it's a 6-week journey most of the time through a sign. It's in Pisces. That's not a sign it's like it likes at all. But it's a very spiritual sign. And it's very close to Neptune. So that is a significant one day in the whole year that Mars, well actually every 2 years, because Mars takes 2 years to go around the chart, all the signs. So that is the time of going within. It's a very much of a going within energy, this particular full moon. At full moons we expect people to be out, to be celebrating. And on TV last night in the UK there was an amazing equestrian demonstration of skills in celebration of the Queen's Jubilee. And I'm not particularly interested in horses, but I really enjoyed it. It was a spectacular horse riders and people of different nations coming together, and the drumming, if you haven't watched it, was superb. So very much I thought Mars in Pisces, you know, the dancers, we had dancing. Now Venus, the planet to do with beauty, is in Aries at the moment. Aries is all about the warrioress energy, and it's only just past Chiron. Chiron is very prominent, has been for quite some time, at new moons and full moons. Chiron is the archetype of the wounded healer, and in Aries it's very much the wound about being the pioneer, going first, going head first, and that needs courage. So once Mars moves into Aries, there will be more fire energy, more feeling of let's get on with things, let's do things for new things. I also want to mention, well, obviously Mercury, if you don't already know, is retrograde, and sure enough, I booked a taxi last week. I got the signal it was coming, and it was 8:15. I'd just woken up. It wasn't due till 10 to 10. But I realised Mercury's retrograde, so I was able to call another one as the original taxi did not turn up. And it's about recognizing that communications can go awry. You know, this is part of our world. We're dominated by Mercury, our mobile phones, our computers, but also it is in Gemini, Mercury, so it's in a sign that's very favourable. But certainly I caution you, especially if that Mercury retrograde is going through the 12th house, as it happens to be for me. So I was prepared for that. I wasn't surprised. Now, Jupiter, thinking about Jupiter in Aries, is not going to stay there for very long, only a few months. But it gives you an idea about what will be happening next year when it is full on in Aries. So this is faith. Jupiter brings us faith and optimism for the future. So this is a good, very good sign at this particular lunar eclipse. If you look to the left, if you haven't already, you can see lots of blue line, blue everywhere. Blue is a trine, is the triangle, the flow of energy. That little symbol is a sextile. It's another good flow. The only problem we have, real problem, is Saturn. You see, there's Saturn, very powerful, right at the top. It's in actually the 11th house in this particular chart set for London. But Pluto is good, and I don't know why so many people are kind of giving us dire warnings. You go, well, actually, the outer planets are doing pretty well. We do have Uranus, all right, opposite, but it's wide. It's wide. It's not that close at all. So all in all, I want you to recognise what these lunar eclipses are all about. The degree of the eclipse, which is the Sun, 25 Taurus, is significant if it's in your chart close to a planet. And the eclipse, lunar eclipse energy only lasts for 1 month. The solar eclipse lasts for 6 months. Big difference. And of course it's emotional. It's the moon, it's emotional. But I also want to look at the North Node. That's at 22 Taurus. And I was privileged to be on a seminar on Saturday, and the astrologer gave me personal information that I hadn't thought of. And what it is that North Node degree, it goes backwards by the way, it started on January the 1st at 29 Taurus 30 minutes, so it's just moved into Taurus. By the end of the year it will be at 10 degrees Taurus 14 minutes, so it can be very significant for you. Personally, that absolute degree was on my moon the very day I got ill, and I don't do ill. I'm really pretty sturdy in that regard. Yeah, I came down with a very bad cold. It wasn't COVID, but it was really knocked me out. So notice that in your chart. Do you have a planet in Taurus especially, or in Scorpio? And later on in the year we will be getting the solar eclipse on October, around the 25th. I'm trying to see it on my wall. Around the 25th. So that's solar eclipse, and that will be at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Now, that's where the sun will be and the moon will be. But all eclipses are about letting go. They're about going within. We are advised never to look directly at a solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, it's okay, and most of us, we've seen one in our lifetime, and it's quite an extraordinary thing to watch, and it takes about 45 minutes for the eclipse to finally pass. And I have witnessed, I'm thinking of one, it was just stunning when I lived in North London, and another one I gave a workshop, and we actually all did stay awake for it, because it's something that doesn't happen every day. However, it does happen every year. So it's not rare. I've read somewhere something that is rare. It's not rare. But we are looking at our Saturn energy, Lord of Karma. Lord of Karma, that's what it's known as. And it can be fear, it can be procrastination, it can be trying to drive, you know, Saturn and Mars, for instance, like driving a car with the brakes on. And a book I always recommend, and it's calling for me to talk to you about it today, mention it, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Stephen spelled with a V. And it's all about, this book is all about procrastination and how to get through those blocks. I coach people using astrology. I coach with Western astrology, and I also use Vedic astrology. And the moon at this particular lunar eclipse is in a lunar mansion called Vishaka. And Vishaka is a triumphal arch. And there are two deities. There's Indra, king of the gods, and there's Agni, the god of fire. And the key words are the conquest of enemies, goal-orientated, and courage and ambition. So this is important to set goals. That's what this is all about. And of course, to set goals which are positive, not just a selfish goal, but how can you be of help? That's one of the clues to Saturn. Saturn as a planet in Vedic astrology is very much about being of service to others. And it's in Aquarius in both the systems right now. So that feeling of charitable work, which comes from your heart, not because you feel you have to. Have to is a negative Saturn word. You know, you think, oh, goodness me, I've got to, I have to. And it's that kind of tone of voice, you know, you're very resistant to doing something. But if you open your heart and also notice these two gods, Indra, the king, Agni, the god of fire, you know, this is really amazing. And it is to do with the way of the warrior and serving humanity. The outcome will determine how this constellation will manifest itself as a curse or a blessing. I'm quoting from a wonderful little book by Roland Delouf that I bought years ago, and I don't think it's in print now, but it's a very helpful thing to realise. And later, because lunar mansions don't last for very long, but now as I'm recording this, the moon has changed sign, lunar mansion, into Anuradha. And Anuradha is the lotus flower, and the deity is Mitra, god of friendship and daylight. And those key words, leadership, moving from one place to another, courage, inspiring, amicable. And that translation, Anuradha, the disciple Anu, of the divine spark, Radha. So this is very much in tune with Scorpio energy, because it's the god of daylight and reveals everything that has remained in the dark. So here, Mitra turns the unconscious into consciousness. Our true origin can no longer be ignored. And with that, thank you for watching Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com.